Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. A few days before we saw the release of Season 4, I was able to actually sit in on a call with Raven Software and several other creators to hear about their plans for the season, what to expect all throughout, and then also ask Raven some questions about the future of Warzone and whatnot. And today, I wanted to break down several different changes and updates and other things that Raven is looking at in the future of Warzone. So as we go through it all today, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. It really does help the channel grow. And if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, every single day I got you covered with all things going on in COD, news, updates, loadouts, tips. You're going to find it all right here. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. So as we go through the various topics here today, I just want you guys to keep in mind that some of these things Raven has just acknowledged and said, hey, you know, we're going to have this conversation with the other people in the studio. We're going to look at this for a potential change in the future. It's not like a 100% commitment to it. Other topics, though, they have committed to. They have said, yes, this is going to be changing in the future as needed, or it's just going to happen as a new update at some point in time. Like, for instance, our very first change coming here, actually in just a few weeks' time, we are going to see the introduction of portable redeploy balloons with the mid-season update, which is going to be happening here in just a few weeks, like I said. Obviously, the redeploy balloons have been a massive success on Caldera, then also on Rebirth and now Fortune's Keep as well. I love these things. I think they are one of the best updates and changes and implementations that we've had in all of Warzone history. One thing I will say is, man, I wish we could have had these on Verdansk just to see how well that map would have played with redeploy balloons to navigate some maybe like one-way pushes into the ATC tower or some of the downtown buildings. I think that would have been awesome. Maybe it'll happen one day, but yeah, redeploy balloons, wildly successful feature, and now we're going to be able to actually loot them in the future, get a portable redeploy balloon so that we can drop that down wherever on any map if we need. So late game, you got a really crummy push up a big hill, no worries, pop that redeploy balloon down, you can take that up, get a nice position over the enemies, get some high ground. You know, it's over Anakin, you got the high ground now, so like you'd be good to go. I think that's gonna be a really cool update. Like I said, that should be happening with the mid-season patch. Now, another thing that Raven didn't necessarily go into super detailed specifics about, but they did say they are looking to improve it even more here shortly, is the gas mask, specifically the mask animation. Now, over the past couple of seasonal updates and mid-season updates, we've seen some very solid changes to the gas mask and that animation when it's interrupting you during ADS, when it's interrupting you when you're trying to jump off of something and the break animation ends up causing you to die to fall damage, or Tim damage as it's also known. Basically, what Ted Timmons from Raven said is that the gas mask improvement is not done yet, and on the horizon we have what he thinks is the most substantial and impactful change to the gas mask yet. He said he's hoping that it ends up releasing in Season 4.5 or Season 4 Reloaded, but it may also be pushed back to Season 5 if they absolutely need. But apparently a major change is coming to the gas mask that is going to be wildly beneficial for all players. If I had to guess, like I said, he did not go into specifics here. He just teased us with that, the biggest improvement yet. But I would imagine maybe it's like the option to toggle it on or off. Something like that would be pretty cool. I have no idea though outside of that, but we do know more improvements to the mask are coming. Then getting into these remaining topics, these are more so areas where Raven said we're gonna look into that and change things as needed, essentially. So the first one here has to do specifically with Fortune's Keep. As we know, this map is slightly larger than Rebirth, but we obviously have the same player count. It's still 40 players. A lot of people have been saying, well, can we uptick that to, you know, maybe 50, 55, maybe 60 is a nice prime spot for the player count on Fortune's Keep. That way the matches stay healthy. There's a lot of kills to go around. I won't lie, I'm surprised at how solid the lobbies feel with 40 players. I thought they were going to be a bit slow, but I've had some absolute bangers on Fortune's Keep. I'm dropping like consistent 20s. There was one night where I don't think I dropped under like 14 kills in a match. Like it does feel very good for 40 players, but they did say they are going to increase the player count as needed in the future based off of player reception and player feedback. So, you know, in a couple of weeks, if we see that the lobbies really aren't staying super healthy, they did say they'd look into that and potentially bump it up to 50 players and see how it goes. Bump it up to 55, see how it goes, so on and so forth. So if you're worried about that player count on Fortune's Keep for any squad size, they did sort of insinuate that that would be changing at some point in time. Now, there was like a Q&A portion of this meeting with them, so a lot of creators got to ask various questions, and so I wanted to go over some of the answers that Raven gave with those questions. Again, a lot of this is like, okay, we're going to go ahead and have a talk with the studio. We'll look into it and see if it's something that we need to update or we need to change later on down the road. Keep in mind, these are not 100% confirmed changes, just things that Raven is aware of that they're going to look into. So the first one, Gulag Tokens stacking. This is something that from day one when they were introduced, I was like, you know, it'd be cool if I could carry like 2 or 3 Gulag tokens. Raven did confirm that is not going to be a thing. They do not want the Gulag tokens to stack. They feel like between your original Gulag, the chance at a Gulag token, and the redeploy token, there are plenty of revival mechanics in the game already. They wouldn't want a player who's really good to get 5 Gulag tokens and just be able to like abuse that all throughout the match or get an insane amount of cash at the end just for opening a couple of chests and getting really lucky off of those tokens initially. So they did confirm that won't be a thing. Audio, obviously a very controversial topic in Warzone ever since day one. With some of the recent seasonal updates, they did actually say they went ahead and improved the game audio, specifically when it comes to footsteps. And when that update first went out, I want to say it was season 3 reloaded, it did seem like enemy footsteps were a little bit more apparent and they stood out a little bit more. But then it seemed like as the weeks went on, those standout footsteps where you could clearly hear an enemy was running from the left, you could probably assume they were 10 meters away or they were just through a doorway, that audio clarity sort of started to disappear in a way. And I don't know if it's placebo or what, but it seemed like it was a very common sentiment from the player base and from the community that I saw over on Twitter and in the comments. So Raven did say they are going to look more into the audio being more consistent, because they have heard that on Reddit and on various social platforms of people saying, yeah, the audio just doesn't seem like it was as good as it was when it was first updated. Like, did something get stealth changed? Did something get fixed or accidentally changed in some update? Like, what's the deal there? So they are looking into audio being more consistent across the board when it comes to being able to determine where enemies are, where they're coming from, if they're pushing, so on and so forth. They also talked a little bit about Champion of Caldera. They said that it was a very successful LTM for solos, and they were very surprised and happy to see that. And they also said that in the future, they could potentially be looking at doing Champion of Caldera, but in modes outside of solos. So Champions of Caldera for duos, trios, and quads, where we have that same rule set. You can go ahead and you start the game off with your loadout in your hand. The zone, rather than having zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, etc., it's constantly moving in, so it is just pure chaos from the get-go. Literally, after I played some Champion of Caldera solos, I was like, you know, this would be awesome if it was duos, trios, quads. And it seemed like Raven shared that same idea, so they are going to be looking into that in the future as some potential LTMs. Then also they did briefly mention how they wanted to look into the zipline animation, where obviously, like for instance, let's take top peak. If there's a team camping on top of the very inner ring of that peak area where there's the zip lines to go up the side, if there's a team sitting there looking at those zip lines and you take those, you're dead to rights. Like, there's no escaping that. The exit animation is just too slow. It's basically a death sentence just because you can't really fight back if you're in that position. So they did say that they were interested in seeing if they could update the animation some way, whether that be allowing you to shoot while you're on a zip line or speeding up the exit animation so that you have you know, a quicker time getting off the zip line and into a gunfight. Something along those lines. They were interested in changing that to make those gunfights a little bit more smooth and make those situations not as frustrating just because you're trying to push a very limited angle that players were camping on top of. So some very interesting changes being previewed there. Again, keep in mind those last few areas, not confirmed changes, but things that Raven is interested in looking into more to seeing if updates are necessary. But all around, the communication, the want to take community feedback into consideration has improved tenfold in my opinion, especially when we're able to do these developer calls with other creators, usually around every mid-season update and seasonal update. It's been fantastic getting to know Raven's thought process on certain things and hear more about how they're looking to change things or update things in the future. So as any news or any new updates come out regarding any changes to the things that we talked about today or anything else obviously in Warzone, you guys already know I got you covered, so stick it here for that and everything else going on in COD. Make sure you're subscribed with those noties turned on. But that's gonna wrap things up for this one. If you enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And as always, if you want to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code IMMORTAL for a spicy discount on all Scuff, G Fuel, Gamer Advantage, and Control Freak products. The links for all those can be found down in the description below. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.